Be Wealthy and Smart, episode number 240.
Step into a world of wealth and financial freedom without budgets, boredom, or bosses on Be Wealthy and Smart. And now, here's your host, Linda P. Jones.
Welcome to Be Wealthy and Smart. I'm Linda P. Jones, America's Wealth Mentor, empowering women and men worldwide to financial freedom. On today's show, it's Listener Question Friday, and we're going to talk about 5 things you can do to spend money wisely. But before we get started, I wanted to let you know about another awesome podcast called Profit Boss Radio. Profit Boss Radio is hosted by MBA and certified financial planner Hillary Hendershot. She highlights inspiring women who have created success in their financial and professional lives. Each week, you can tune in and hear how women have paved the road to sustained success with both beliefs and actions. So check it out at profitbossradio.com. Well, today is Listener Question Friday, and here's our listener question. Linda, my husband is the major breadwinner and plans to retire in 2 years. He wants to buy a new TV and sectional. I'm advising against it, but he insists we buy them. What can I say to show him why it's important not to be making purchases like this right now? Well, that is a really great question and very astute of you to be clear that that's not something you want to be spending a lot of money on right before retirement. Although you're close to retirement, and some of our listeners are too, many of our listeners are also younger. But there's a very important point to be made here, no matter what your age. In this case, you're probably looking at, let's say, a $3,000 to $6,000 purchase, depending on the cost of the TV and the sectional. But together, those are not inexpensive items. So the question is it really going to improve your life? Because spending wisely is one of the traits that will make you wealthy, but spending foolishly is one of the traits that will make you poor. You know, I think I need to tweet that out. Spending wisely is one of the traits that will make you wealthy. Spending foolishly is one of the traits that will make you poor. So I have a friend who also is a spender and wants to keep buying new furniture, redecorating, remodeling. And while some of that remodeling will improve the value of a home, but once it's updated, then re-updating it doesn't help. So for example, if you go from changing your vinyl countertop to granite, that's a home improvement. But if you're changing one granite to another granite, that does nothing to improve the value of your home because you already had granite. So the things that you spend money on are super important. And whether you're going to get a return on that spending is something that you want to also look at. In the case of buying TVs and sectionals, there's no return on that. They're both depreciating assets. They're not even really assets. They're just spendable items. They're just things that, you're going to pay for them and never get your money back from what you invested in them. Here are 5 things you can do to spend more wisely, and maybe this will help our listener question. Number 1, sit your husband down and talk to him about the reality of retirement. Bring him into the reality of what will happen in 2 short years. There will be no more income from his job, and you'll be relying on your savings for the rest of your life. Do you have the amount needed already saved, or do you need to be saving more? Number 2, there are some things that will add quality of life to your standard of living, such as if you moved from a state that had bad weather to a state that has better weather. That's why a lot of people in retirement move from the northern states to the southern states. Things like that actually add quality to your life. But some purchases, like maybe a TV and a sectional, are more like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic. So having a new TV or sectional is not really going to add happiness or better quality of life. The thrill might last a week, and then you'll just have the bills to pay after that. So it's not really a lasting happiness, in my humble opinion. Number 3, if you're spending $3,000 to $6,000 on the TV and sectional, think about how much that will grow to in 20 years. Using the investment calculator at 8%, it could become almost $14,000 to almost $28,000. That's really the true opportunity cost of what you're buying. And that's a lot of money. So really think about that. Number 4, when you're a few years from retirement, you want to avoid making large purchases on household items or cars or recreational vehicles or anything that depreciates. You want to be focusing all your efforts to get your retirement savings as large as possible. There's a hard deadline to retirement, and it's coming soon in your case. Number 5, create a plan. Where do you plan to live when you retire? Are you going to be downsizing and moving south? Are you going to be staying where you are? Is your home paid off? Housing and medical expenses are 2 of your major costs when you're in retirement. That and the elective travel that many people want to have in retirement is another big expense, but mainly housing and medical are your 2 major costs. So you want to be sure you have adequate coverage for both. If your home isn't paid off yet, and you're retiring in 2 years, then it's a worthwhile goal to focus on that is getting your house paid off, instead of focusing on buying furnishings. Also, you want to create a plan by estimating what your retirement income is going to be. Take your retirement funds and multiply them by 4%. That is the amount of income you can take without outliving your money. By most methodologies, it's a 4% number. Add your Social Security benefits onto that, and then you'll know how much income you'll have to live on. Most people are not really happy with that number. That may wake your husband up to the reality that he needs to be saving, not spending until he retires. I hope that helps you, and I hope you decide against buying the TV and the sectional. If you haven't yet subscribed to Be Wealthy and Smart on iTunes, please subscribe and leave me a review on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. And since I haven't shared any listener reviews with you in a while, I decided I would share a few with you today. I always get inspired when I read people's reviews and what they're saying, and I love how people are putting what they're learning on the show into practice. So this one came from Reagan Lear. And she said, awesome and helpful tips, 5 stars. It's so inspirational listening to this podcast as a college student. Hearing about Linda's personal success makes growing my own wealth seem so achievable because of how she was able to do it. I also love her guest episode. She is a great interviewer. Well, thank you, Regan. That is really nice of you to say. I don't do a lot of interviews on my show, but the ones I do, I pick very carefully. The next one is from a word that is a bunch of letters and not really a word, but they title their review Excellent Podcast and give it 5 stars. Very easy to listen to, understand, and to the point. Keep up the good work. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. The next one is from JJ Big O Fan. And it says, binge listening, 5 stars. Wanted to thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge, no pun intended. I'm an avid reader of blogs and listener of podcasts about personal finance. In fact, I found your podcast through another in which you're involved. After listening to your first few shows, I realized that my thoughts and feelings regarding money were based on fear and anxiety. You are absolutely right about changing the mindset. You go further by laying out a clear roadmap on how to build wealth. What a difference this has made for me. I now feel calmer and more confident in my ability to build wealth. I listen as often as I can. Some shows I've listened to a few times. I have shared your podcast with family and friends and look forward to my continued education with you. You have become one of my many mentors. Well, thank you, JJ. I love that, and I love that you are understanding the power of mindset as a beginning point and putting that into practice. And thank you for sharing it with family and friends. I really, really appreciate that. And finally, this is from Shanta, who says, great podcast and gives it 5 stars. I love the ability to understand more about my finances. Thank you. Well, thank you, Shanta, for listening, and thank you so much for the review. And if you haven't left your review yet, I really encourage you to go over and leave a review on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. And if you haven't gone to my website to get your 11 quick financial tips to boost your wealth, what are you waiting for? Head on over to lindapjones.com. Get your free PDF of 11 quick things you can do to get your net worth moving in the right direction today. That's all for now. Until next time, live the good life and be wealthy and smart.
Thank you for listening to Be Wealthy and Smart with Linda P. Jones. Share the wealth and tell your family and friends about the show. Check out our website, blog, and social media for more riches at www.bewealthyandsmart.com.